Hey guys, this is Danny and we're gonna continue with the last video that we talked about how can AI help you in the pre-design process, and specifically we were talking about upcodes and how can upcodes help you doing analysis and research and code analysis that can really help you in that first part of the design. So as I promised, this video is gonna be more like a workshop. So this was the last presentation, so you haven't not seen this one, go back to the previous video and really get like an overview of how Upcodes can help you with that code research, and especially in that beginning part of the pre-design process before we actually start conceptualizing an idea. So before we start with the workshop of Copilot, let me tell you that Copilot, first of all, is a premium version of Upcodes. So you can still access Upcodes and access all the codes, whatever code you want, through Upcodes, and that's totally free. But for you to be able to get the AI version, the Copilot help of Upcodes along with diagrams and assemblies, then you will have to pay a premium. I believe in the case that you want to use the AI, which is the Copilot, that will come with a $60 a month. I know that it might be a little pricey, but for the amount of help that you will be getting, even if it saves you an hour a month, it's worth the premium. So if you're a freelancer, you have your full company with hundreds of employees or even 5 to 10 employees, it makes total sense to have this tool. Even if you just use it at 1 or 2 licenses for the office, where when somebody is actually going through the code can actually use that and can even save him like an hour or two, like a day for each employee, or even a couple of times a week, that's already worth the license. So I really recommend you, for any company or anybody in their interior design, construction, mechanical plumbing, architecture, to really use this tool, because it has a lot of these codes and it can really help you with that efficiency of time, and that, which is that repetitive task of keep looking for the code, and especially every time it kind of gets updates. But the Copilot is a really good version to interact and can help you not just analyzing the code, but can help you actually get insights and exemptions and things like that. So let's go back and show you a little bit of what Copilot is. So whenever you go to first, this is their main page. It's gonna look a little different because here I'll do a few projects that I've already been working on, but this is more or less what it's gonna look like. And on here, if you see on the left side, you have the Copilot version here, and this is really once you kind of get into the premium version, this is the Copilot, and you have a few things here that we're gonna go through. So along in the workshop here, this is a very quick overview of how to use it. So the first step is to really fill out this information so the Copilot can have as much information at the beginning. So instead of you having to type out a prompt, tell the AI that you want the code or the assembly or everything here is pretty much done for you. So you can just click here whether or not you just want like a specific code or assembly, what your jurisdiction you really want to find your, are you on as your project working on. So I'm going to put California, what year of the code you're working on. In this case, I'm going to say current 2022. And for this particular first example, we're gonna start with commercial. So let's say I'm gonna say commercial. Yeah, so I'm just gonna say commercial, and I'm gonna give it one quick example about let's say fire rating here. Also here, the Copilot, as you can see, is gonna give you a few ideas. So if you don't know how to interact with it, a few recommendations that they gave that during their webinar that they give is when interacting with Copilot, you need to, again, you don't need to do all three at the same time. The Copilot will eventually interact with you. The important thing is that you start broad, and then eventually you become more specific questions. So just use that as a conversation, where if you start with a broad question, it might start just asking you or prompt you to be more specific. But generally speaking, the guys of Upcodes tell you to be more specific of what do you want to find, what you want to get out of the question you're asking. Number 2 is to specify whether your building is existing or new, because that's really going to affect where the AI is going to find the information. And number 3 is to define the occupancy or use of the building, whether, so the more specific you are, the better the Copilot is going to point you in the right direction, right? So as an example here, so as you can see some examples here, it can help you perform calculations, ask code questions, start looking for definitions, assembly recommendations, which is great. But let's start with something like this. What are the requirements for a 5 rating and existing for a furnace room where the furnace equipment is a 500 BTU per hour unit in a new office building, so group C occupancy? So let's say what it gives us here. So once it's loading, let's see here. So yeah, as you can see here, it kind of gives me a few recommendations here, right? Yeah, once you get the information here, the great thing is you get also some actual codes, references exactly what you're looking for here. It also gives you diagrams, right, of specific examples you can find. You want to be even more specific. Sometimes like, I don't know you, but like I tend to be a lot more visual, so this really helped me. Let's say you want to be a little bit more specific and you say, can you explain what fire separation distance means in the context of the building code? Right, so it actually can help you ask for explanations, right? In that way it kind of goes, ask for explanations, it gives you references here, it gives you a few, I think maybe you want to be more specific, right? So here's a few diagrams that can help you with that, along with you know, if you click on this, it will take you to that specific part of the thing, and if you can even open it in a new tab, and it will give you the actual part where it's saying that. The great thing is you can bookmark it, you can put it in a specific project. So for instance, let's say I like that part, right? Oh, this one is a long one here. But so let's say I like a specific one, I can bookmark this and it will take it, it will help me to create a folder where I have that specific to that project, and I can duplicate those things, and it's just great source. So yeah, it can help you kind of have that definition. It can help you also find sections, right? So for instance, let's say here you have in the same commercial, I can say, hey, I want to find all sections related to actually let's go to let's say I want to start a new project. Normally when you want to start a new project, I recommend you're done with this specific project and now you're kind of looking for a new one. I'll suggest you to clear the chat. In that way the AI or the Copilot is really clearing all that past information, and it's a way to kind of restart all over again without it saving the past information. So let's say I'm gonna say find all sections related to accessible parking in the high-rise commercial building, right? I'm still in commercial, right? Make sure I put commercial here. And yeah, it does. If you don't want to be that specific, you're just kind of looking at sections and kind of getting familiar with specific due diligence at the beginning of the project. Here is great, right? Because it does give you part of the building code, parking spaces, you have the sections, you have the recommendations of dimensions and parking. So that's very good. It can also help you with calculations. So if I clear this and let's say I want to have calculations more or less of a residential building, right? A multifamily residential building, 5 stories, 200,000 square feet. And I really kind of want to more or less kind of know what's the maximum occupancy. And it will give me so here it is, 200 divided by 30 square feet per occupant, right? And then kind of potential occupancy up to 10,000 occupants. So again, you kind of double check this, you kind of make sure that you go here, go to the section there, it will open up that, and then you can really go and search for it. And if you like a specific one for special buildings, you can bookmark it. You can take it to color and ask a question here, right? Like you have like specific question on when does this apply, or to explain more about this specific section, then you can do that. So for instance, if you wanna ask a question to Copilot, right, based on section summarize this information, right? I didn't type that right, but it really summarizes that, and it does kind of bring back to the code. You can save that, you can bookmark it, you can ask it to generate that answer, right, to be more specific, or just give you the answer in a different way. So that's really helpful. You can also ask to provide a checklist, right? So if you come here and let's say you're kind of looking for a checklist for designing type 1 grease conduct, right, for a commercial kitchen. So let's say you just go here to the commercial. Let's say, yeah, so let's start with that, right? And it will give you a checklist of what to look for here, right? So you have the type 1 hood installation, automatic fire sprinkler system. So that's great because it does kind of, as you can say, as you can see, it does give you a few. It's not just go and help you with that. It's actually giving you suggestions, creating checklists, creating calculations, finding code sections for you. So I found these very, very useful. You can actually ask for assemblies too. Not that these will apply here, but so for instance, you can say lead compliant assemblies for residential. Actually, let's say assembly recommended suggested through penetration assembly PVC pipes through. Yeah, so let's say this one. I don't want to type it all right now. But as you can say here, based on this, on a stop wall, 2-hour rated stop wall, here you have recommendations of assemblies or what you can use. In a way, this could have helped, like this could have taken me, like as you said, like 20 minutes, 25 minutes for me to just go and try to look the research and do all of that stuff. Whereas here you have that, you have the links, you can view the sources. It's a great way to really generate, save time, make everybody more efficient. And yeah, this is a quick overview of what you can do with Upcodes Copilot. And I think that if you're just looking for something basic to use the code for, you can always just use Perplexity or ChatGPT to ask questions to the AI, and it will eventually give you answers. But if you want AI that is a lot more specific, that is actually dedicated to give you these code answers along with diagrams and suggestions and assemblies, along with not just that, but the possibility to actually save these into folders and actually be able to reuse to eventually save even more time. So for instance, if you're a person that already has a lot of projects of one specific type, you can save those in a folder and just duplicate that as a template, and every time you start a new project you already have those, instead of you having to go and ask ChatGPT that same question all over again. The great thing about here is that you can save those in projects here. So again, if you're a person that does a lot of the permitting process through buildings, this is a great tool. This is probably the best tool that you can use in that pre-design, especially when you're doing code research, permitting process. I believe as of right now, this is the best tool you can use that is AI powered. And I hope this helped you. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know, and I'll see you in the next video.